Sean O'Malley reacts to Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate negotiations. Bantamweight contender Sean O'Malley has given his opinion on the Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate boxing match that is currently being arranged. On his YouTube channel, Sean O'Malley posted a short clip commenting on the potential bout. While Paul is the more experienced professional boxer, Tate has a wealth of combat experience. Regardless of your opinion of the two, this could very well be an intriguing matchup.
I would put money on Jake for sure. Jake would be a huge favorite, I would assume. I love Andrew, but he hasn't been grinding like Jake has been, and it matters what have you been doing the last 2 years, the last fucking 6 months. Jake's been in the gym, grinding. Andrew Tate's been hitting podcasts, doing his thing, making money, but he hasn't been, you know, he's pretty jacked, dude. He looks like he's been in the gym or does some push-ups, but that doesn't matter, dude. Haven't been sparring, haven't been hitting mitts, haven't been hitting sprints. Doing boxing, and Jake's been boxing. So if this fight happens, I would pick Jake.
Sean O'Malley seems to think he has this fight figured out already, and is even confident enough to give a method of victory for Paul. Do you agree with Sean O'Malley's prediction? Alexander Volkanovski is eating 4,000 calories a day to prepare for potential clash with McGregor. Although Alexander Volkanovski is currently preparing to face Islam Makhachev next, he believes he is likely to cross paths with former two-division champion Conor McGregor down the line. Speaking to ESPN MMA, Volkanovski stated his desire to become a two-division champion himself and fight McGregor in the future.
There's only been 4 champions, and I beat every single one of them except for in the featherweight division I'm talking about. In the featherweight division, the only one I haven't fought is Conor McGregor. He ain't fighting featherweight ever again. He's been champ of featherweight, and he was a double champ of this, so I can beat that guy too. So you know what I mean? It's putting me in a position to, even though I believe I've done more than him. I think my resume speaks for itself. Obviously, he's got a good resume. He's fought some great guys, but I've been a little more successful. But again, get them right out of the way, right? Get these guys so there's no question. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I'm gonna have to go to 170 for him.
I'll do 170. I'll do whatever. Man, I'm bulking up. Have you seen what I'm eating? 4,000 calories.
Volkanovski also recognizes that the Notorious was the first fighter in UFC history to hold both the featherweight and lightweight belts simultaneously. That's why he wants to fight McGregor as a way to solidify his legacy in the UFC. Would you be excited for a fight between Volkanovski and McGregor? Let us know in the comments. Israel Adesanya questions if Pereira is disrespecting Anderson Silva. UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya has responded to Alex Pereira's mocking training videos by reminding the Brazilian who he shares the technique in question with. During a recent interview on his YouTube channel, Adesanya once again addressed Pereira's mockery, specifically the posts surrounding his tennis ball training. GOAT contender Anderson Silva famously credited a training technique that involved dodging tennis balls for his speed and spider sense in an interview with Brazil Combat. After noting that the former middleweight king arguably made the technique famous, the last style bender questioned whether Pereira was mocking him too.
Well, made that really famous. Like, are you dissing Anderson Silva as well, saying his training techniques are stupid? I don't know. The hoverboard thing was stupid. I was like, I didn't even know that was a diss at me. I was like, what? Okay, cool. I mean, hey, bro, cool story. You do you. You do you. He's got bragging rights, you know. So I'm like, yeah, you do you. I don't have to say much, but I will speak when it's time with violence. Yeah.
Now in UFC 281 fight week, Pereira has continued to fire shots at Adesanya online, most recently by taking a picture with someone dressed as Elsa from Frozen in New York, a reference to a line Adesanya said at UFC 276. Nevertheless, the time for talking is nearly over, and Adesanya will look to answer Pereira's pre-fight trashing with another impressive performance and title defense inside the octagon. Alex Pereira says Israel Adesanya still thinks about his knockout loss. Alex Pereira doubts Israel Adesanya has forgotten about what happened in their previous outing at Glory of Heroes 7 over 5 years ago. Pereira defeated Adesanya by third-round knockout. It was the first and only time the last stylebender has been finished in his combat sports career. Ahead of their UFC 281 title fight, video of the knockout went viral. Adesanya noted that he's seen it again now several times, but to hear him tell it, he's accepted the outcome and moved on. Pereira isn't so sure, however, that his former foe has really let the knockout go.
Não, tá lá ainda, não sai. Não sai. Eu fico imaginando como que faz para pagar isso, porque é uma coisa, quando acontece com a gente, é uma coisa muito chata e eu não sei como ele vai fazer para tirar isso da cabeça. Não sei.
He's still there for sure, you know what I mean? I don't know how he's going to be able to, or how he could possibly erase that from his mind, but I know he's still there.
Heading into their championship fight at UFC 281 on Saturday, Pereira laid out his advantages over Adesanya. Aside from the mental one, Pereira said he also has a physical one, especially since he has 2 wins over Adesanya on his resume. And though he has far less experience in an octagon than the reigning UFC middleweight champion, Pereira is still confident he can best Adesanya, regardless of what kind of fight they may end up having. Only one sleep away from UFC 281. Make your predictions down in the comments. Dustin Poirier says Michael Chandler won't even last a few exchanges fighting with a tough guy mindset. Dustin Poirier is set to step into the cage against Michael Chandler in what is being considered one of the best fights of the year. Despite the 2 lightweights being incredibly talented, the Diamond believes he could make it look easy. Iron was arguably the biggest profile outside of the UFC before making the switch over from Bellator, and mixed martial arts fans have been spoiled ever since. His elite wrestling allows him to keep the fight standing, and his willingness to strike alongside his goal to always search for a finish makes him one of the most fun fighters to watch. During his sit-down with Daniel Cormier, Dustin Poirier stated that Michael Chandler should dispose of his tough guy mindset if he wants any chance at beating him this weekend.
If he fights me like he fought Justin Gaethje, I'm gonna clean him up.
You think you'll put him out?
I'm going back to Lafayette.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Come on, Poirier.
How much?
You think you putting him out?
Tune in.
How fast?
We'll see.
How long does Michael Chandler fighting in that way last against Dustin Poirier?
Few exchanges.
That's it?
Yeah.
You think
if he comes out there with a tough guy mindset,
the way he fought Justin,
lets his nut hang, hands down, I'm gonna out tough you. I'm gonna clean him up. But I promise you.
But Justin Gaethje DP is pretty tough too.
Yeah, but
he's a hard-hitting guy, right? You fought him.
Of course, these guys are all hard-hitting guys, but he don't have the rhythm, the timing, the accuracy. I'm gonna show you, bro.
Both men are highly ranked 155 pounds contenders who are just 1 or 2 wins away from earning themselves a shot at newly crowned champion Islam Makhachev's throne. Michael Chandler believes he is the better striker and grappler ahead of the lightweight king, but will first have to get past a very tough test on Saturday. Michael Chandler names what Dustin Poirier won't be ready for. During an interview with former 2-division UFC champion Daniel Cormier, Chandler assessed the advantages he often has over his opponents. As well as hard work and a desire to win, the number 5 ranked lightweight contender hinted towards an element of surprise that often catches his rivals out come fight night.
I think guys they're not quite ready for my speed, my power, my quickness.
You're like a CrossFit athlete. I swear to God, I watch it, I'm like, this is like a CrossFit athlete.
Maybe, but
because you're strong and you're explosive and you're fast and you have all these.
Yeah, and I've trained that way. I've specifically trained because I think eventually we lose power. Eventually we lose speed. But I've continued to gain speed because that's how I train every single day in the weight room. I am trying to get faster. So I just think when I grab a hold of people too, the power in which I pick people up and slam them. You know, that Tony Ferguson takedown was halfway across the cage, you know,
it was nasty.
And he didn't get up.
You don't generally shoot that much, which I don't understand why.
Well, well, I've been training it a lot since I came into the UFC. It just hasn't happened a lot.
With that in mind, Chandler will look to shock Poirier with his power and speed when the cage door gets locked behind them inside the iconic MSG this Saturday night. Who do you think will have their hand raised at UFC 281? Michael Chandler or Dustin Poirier? Justin Gaethje details vicious bicycle crash 2 weeks before Charles Oliveira loss. Justin Gaethje wasn't at his best going into his recent big title fight, suffering a first-round rear naked choke submission loss to Charles Oliveira at UFC 274 in May 2022. Gaethje hasn't fought since. It's rare for fighters to enter their bouts at 100%, but this time around, the highlight almost didn't even make it to the fight at all.
Life's crazy, man. Like, I'm gonna share something with you. It's, you know, it doesn't make sense, but again, nobody knows what we go through. My dumbass, 18 days before I fought Charles, I was riding my bicycle to the gas station to get some nicotine pouches, and I had like a vicious crash on my bike, smoked my head off the road, road rash all down my back, and then, you know, go in there and again take that damage that I took in that fight, and that's why I'm taking so much time off. But I mean, I don't, you know, no, it's just crazy what we go through. You know, each and every one of us has different circumstances. That was such a hurdle in my last thing. As soon as it happened, I had to go home and act like it didn't happen. Act like my vision didn't go 100% fucked up for 2 seconds. Like, and that's what we've been doing since we were kids. You know, you put that doubt aside, and as soon as that happened, it's like, okay, what do I do next? How do I continue to improve and continue to just be ready for this fight?
A general wild man, Gaethje has enjoyed his temporary off-season, getting his nose fixed, golfing, and even skiing into pools off ramps. In the case of his crash, nothing intentionally out there was a part of his plan. The former interim lightweight champion will be watching UFC 281 this weekend closely as he eyes the Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler clash for his eventual 2023 return to action. UFC 281, the preview, brought to you by MMA Gold News. UFC 281 is now 1 day away, and MMA Gold News is here to deliver the preview of one of the most anticipated events of the year. In the main event, UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya will defend his title against his old kickboxing rival Alex Pereira. As we mentioned in our take at the beginning of the week, we like Adesanya to retain his belt, but it won't be easy for him. The co-main event will feature a strawweight championship bout between champion Carla Esparza and former champion Sean Weili, and all eyes will be on the feature lightweight bout between former interim champion Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler. Another lightweight bout on the main card will feature number 12 ranked Dan Hooker against the streaking Claudio Puelles. Additionally, former lightweight champion Frankie Edgar will compete in his final career bout against Chris Gutierrez in a bantamweight bout. We can't wait any longer for this event to start. Make your final predictions for the main card in the comments. That's all for today's video. If you want to know the latest UFC news, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and click the like button so you don't miss any details about the upcoming fights. Thanks for watching. See you soon.